Hey y'all, welcome to the Athlete's Health Deep Dive, the weekly episode where we get a mental performance theme of the week, dive deep into its insights through some tips, tricks to remember it, tools to apply it, and the goal here is to just give more value to the audience, the athletes, coaches, parents, anyone giving you a glimpse into what these longer conversations, tricks, tips, tools around mental performance entail, what the mental gym is, and what some of our coaching can possibly consist of. Ultimately, we aim to help you out, get you using these tricks, adding these tools to your tool belt, to your bag, and up that mental performance for your overall sports performance. And at the end, maybe you're more intrigued to check out some of our coaching services. But each week we have a theme. And before I get into that, I just want to highlight super fast, working on new arrangement, the improved studio. Let me know any feedback, any comments, what else we should put in this as I start to level up or level some things forward, as we're going to hear about here soon. Because this week our theme is ego and humility in sports and athletics. We're finding the balance for growth and teamwork. So without further ado, let's dive deep into ego and humility for sports. And as I do this, we need to talk ego and humility, period. These are two forces that really seem like they're opposites, right? They seem like they're on each and other side. But in reality, they're the yin and yang of success in athletics and in life. Ego really gives us the confidence to go and try, to push forward, to dream that big dream. Humility, on the other hand, grounds us. It reminds us of the power of teamwork and really helps us learn and grow. So today we're going to explore how balancing these two forces can unlock both personal growth and elevate the team to that next level. So this balance is not just about us. It's not just about me. It's not just about you. It's about how the growth impacts those around us as well, and how it really kind of creates a cycle of continuous improvement, of continuous growth. With that said, let's get right into the tips, tricks, and tools. Tip number one is embrace the x-axis. We need to move forward. Moving forward is progress, because growth is not always just about climbing the ladder straight up, right? If we think about the y-axis, if y-axis is success, it's also about just continuing forward on the x-axis. And the cool thing about this is it's usually something over time. The x-axis is usually time. So if we continue on the x-axis, if we continue with time, this means that others might quit, okay? But we are staying consistent. We're focused. We're putting ourselves ahead by not just climbing the y-axis of whatever result we're putting up for, we're also climbing the x-axis of time. That's why this trick is the x-axis advantage. We need to shift that focus from, instead of just leveling up, to leveling forward, right? If we've heard, I know I've said this a couple times, but we're failing forward. And that's exactly what we're doing by moving forward on the x-axis. We're leveling forward. And how we can do this, the tools to apply this, is chart the progress weekly, track it, note what you're spending time on, what you're improving, rather than just the outcomes, rather than just that end all y-axis. Note on the x-axis some other charts, other lines that we are tracking. And with that, we can really reflect on some moments when persistence alone gave us an edge over the competitors. And specifically, those competitors who stopped trying. When we just stayed persistent along that x-axis of time, we really noticed how we were getting that advantage over the competition. And for instance, I just want to put this out there, because I've heard this time and time again, that in high school, especially when the competition for the sport gets harder, a lot of times athletes, they'll quit maybe one or two of the sports. They might focus on just one sport, or they're just done altogether. But that quitting gives the competition an edge. It gets them tougher. Those who are the consistent and stay out for it and keep working on it reap the rewards simply by staying on that x-axis of time and keep it going. I don't know how many athletes who I've heard, and even myself included, now I think back, where you're kind of trooping through freshman, sophomore, junior, but then that senior year is where you have the exponential growth. And that's just kind of what we call the hockey stick on the x-axis. Eventually, that y-axis is going to skyrocket. So tip number 1, embrace the x-axis, move forward as progress. Trick the x-axis advantage. And with those tools, just kind of chart other things you're doing and not just those end all outcomes of the y-axis, and reflect on the time so you understand when you were persistent and when it really helped out. Tip number 2, let ego start, but humility guide. And let me explain this to us, because ego really helps push us into those new challenges. Like it could be joining the new team, trying out for the new club and making it, going at a harder level, playing up, whatever the case is. Okay, maybe against our teammates even. Having that ego to really push us into that new challenge, where humility will keep us grounded and open to learning once we kind of break through that new ceiling and we're on the new floor, that new level. So it's the ego gets us there. The humility lets us keep learning, see what is happening. And oftentimes we need that humility because we're going to either get crushed and we're either going to get sent back down the stairs to the last level, or that's where the humility comes in. And this is why the trick is the ego humility flip, because we need that ego to take the risks to climb, but then we need to flip for the humility for the next set of growth. Otherwise, we're going to break through that ceiling. We're going to go up the stairs with the ego, and then we're going to think we're going to keep having that ego. And then all of a sudden, we're going to get smashed. We're going to get crushed, right? It's going to be harder. And if we don't have the humility, if we're not ready for it, we're just going to get pushed right back down the stairs. So the tools for this is, before a challenge, remind ourselves why we believe we can do it. And then after starting, we can just look at one thing we learned from the environment, from the people around us, from our friends or our teammates, whatever the case is, whoever we're learning from, performing with. Because what this will do, we can use the challenge in reminding ourselves that we can do it. That's kind of that ego part. Like, we're here for a reason. But then afterwards, we constantly can stay humble and keep learning, and that'll be the fastest way we climb up. So for instance, I know some athletes, and the ego gets on the practice squad, right? Because couldn't even get on varsity, but it got on the practice squad and got a good role within that. And then maybe you do get a minute or two. The ego got you there, but the humility is what helps stay and grow with the team and keep carving out the path. And so we talk about that. We say, yeah, dude, you got the confidence to get there, right? And that's kind of your ego going with you, helping you out. But now we have to keep learning. We have to keep refining the craft, leveling it not only up, but also forward. Get the time, tie everything together. Tip number 2, let ego start, but humility guide. The trick, the ego humility flip. Use the ego to take the risks, and then flip to humility for the actual growth after we get there. And how we do that, just keep reminding ourselves why we're here, how we can do it, especially before those hard challenges. And then after we start, or after it finishes, go back, look at some stuff we learned, how we continue to level up from there. Hey, thanks again for tuning into the Athlete's Health Podcast. Your support really does mean a lot. We are passionate about bringing the mental health and performance topics to the forefront because, let's be real, the mental health crisis is a huge issue in society. Now, if you're enjoying the show, it would mean the world to us if you could just give it a 5-star review and share it with anyone who might benefit this message. Every bit helps in spreading the word and creating a stronger, healthier community. This podcast is just a small part of what we are doing at the Athlete's Health. We work directly with teams, coaches, and individual athletes even to help them unlock their full mental performance and ultimately overall performance. Now, whether that's getting the competitive edge, breaking through mental blocks, or just leveling up in the mental gym, we're trying to cover it all with people. So thank you for listening and supporting our mission. Now let's get right back to the show. Tip number 3, the mirror effect. Growth reflects team growth. Hear me out on this one. Your individual growth is tied to the team success. You're the only good person on the team, and everyone else on the team doesn't care at all or anything else. You're only going to get so far. If you're on the team with a bunch of other winners, people who are pushing it, trying to make something happen, we have a different story. Ego tells us that our skills are unique, but humility reminds us that the team depends on us and we depend on the team. That's the kind of awesome part about this, the mirror effect. This trick is the mirror method. We can visualize growth as a mirror. When we grow, looking in the mirror, or it's not even a mirror, it's just what we see. The whole team grows. So it's not just a me. It's a team. And I'm going to get to that one in a little bit. I almost jumped the gun. But the tools, how do we even go about this? We need to identify one area where your growth actually, like the growth you're doing impacts the team. It could be leadership. It could be your consistency. It's one thing that really, really helps for you. And you can tell right away, or a coach can tell, or a teammate can tell that it is helping the team as well. Next, we can regularly give specific praise or support for the teammate to really kind of reflect that growth back. So while we're seeing it ourselves, and maybe we're talking to a teammate, we're giving it right back to them, showing how they are growing up. Maybe it's the same way we are. Maybe it's a different way we are. That doesn't matter as much as we're actually doing the act. Therefore, another story that I know of is I know sometimes I've known some pretty good athletes who they're on a team and their ego kind of wins the game. Like they almost need it, right? That's how they and when it comes to the moment, their ego's there and it helps, right? The humility afterwards to uplift the teammates, to help them out, creates that winning team. And I've seen this both ways. Or it's more than both ways. I've seen it where the star athlete has the ego, uplifting themselves and uplifting the team. I've seen it where they don't really uplift the team as much. That is more I. And I've also seen it where the team kind of uplift the person without the ego or in the slump, and it helps them out. But then I've also seen probably maybe the worst circumstance, in my opinion, where the team doesn't really pick up the person. Maybe they don't want to pick them up when the ego's down or whatever the case is, because we all kind of need that little bit of that ego, right? That's how we are going to breed success. Without it, we're not going to have it. But when the team helps us out, or when we're the star and we're helping others out, because we're all, I fully believe, in some way, shape, or form, we are all truly a star in one sense or another. I bet you can find one thing that you are towards the very top at, on the team, on the classroom, wherever you're in. Okay. But all in all, tip number 3, we have the mirror effect. The growth reflects the team growth. With the trick, the mirror method, our growth is looking in a mirror. And if we grow, it's the actual team on the other side. They grow too. We need to make sure that happens, because if we grow, if we identify one area in ourselves that we know helps the team, that's awesome. And we can keep working on that one. And then we can also maybe do this with a partner, talk to some teammates and help them level up their ego too. Okay. Get that growth reflecting growth. Tip number 4, the silent assassin. Confidence without the noise. We just talked about the noise recently, so this is almost a breed on it, but it is pretty awesome. These are the killers, right? True confidence is quiet and focused. I'm thinking of any sport but they have the confidence in and out. Okay, the athlete, okay, the best plays often comes from the athletes who act without showboating. And I'm not saying there's not a little shimmy here and there, or there's not a little celebration, but it's not the end all be all. They're not going crazy, right? And a lot of times they are these silent assassins. They don't show emotion. They let the actions speak way louder than their words. Personally, that's what I like to watch the most. It's crazy to see it. Everyone else freaking out, but they are still killers, silent assassins. They channel their ego into that performance and their humility into the preparation. And that's how it works. So this trick, is the silent assassin mindset. We stay a little low key, right? But we let that performance speak loudly. And that's really all it is. And it goes back to that ego in the performance, humility in the preparation. Tools after making a great play. Focus immediately on the next move instead of celebrating, right? Get back, do whatever we need to do, get locked in, make another steal. I mean, that'd be crazy. Do whatever we need to do. And also, what we can do is we can kind of journal, write out some stuff of the successes privately. Build that quiet confidence in that self-assurance. If you want to kind of change this up too, we can put those out too. Every once in a while, post them out. Talk about what we're going to do. Make it an accountable piece too. That's a little different than the silent assassin, but we're still keeping it quiet. We're still putting in the killer work. And I know I've talked about this already in this one, but I just got to highlight it one more time. The coldest killers I see on the court, on the field, on the track, they make the jaw-dropping plays, but then they walk back as if it's routine. They expect to make those plays. Why would we freak out, showboat, whatever the case is, when it is expected? The humility keeps them grounded for what's next. It creates a cycle of growth and focus. Tip 4, silent assassin, confidence without the noise. So we're not putting that noise. We are the silent assassin. Mindset is the trick. Stay low key, but let the performance speak loudly. And finally here, tip number 5 is almost a 2-parter, but it was so good I had to drop this. From me to we, and then back again, we're flipping the perspectives. Now, growth in sports often requires a flip of perspective, especially at the key moments. So the first thing we got to do is flip the circle of performance. We are celebrating successes. Do not get me wrong. Huge thing happened or whatever the case is, celebrate the success. But then we have to ground ourselves in humility for that next challenge. I know even people in high school know of the joke of the 40-year-old who still talks about their high school football game and the highlights that brings. Okay. They're not really flipping the circle of performance. They're still celebrating the past successes. They're not grounding themselves on the humility for the next challenge coming up. The next thing is we flip the we, me, we perspective. Start with the team, then shift to personal improvement, and then return back to the team to lift others up. Right? We got the team as a holistic boat or car, vehicle, whatever the case is, needs to be smooth. Inside though, each driver needs to able to drive, concentrate, focus, lock in to the best of their ability. And then once we do that for ourselves, we go to the other teams, lift them up, get them in that position too. This keeps us and the team climbing higher. That's why this trick is the flip, the circle, and we, me, we flip. So we're going to use both flips to balance ego and humility to sustain the success. How do we do this? Lastly here is after a success, flip the focus by asking, what lesson can keep us really kind of grounded, focused for that next step? Done next. What's the next thing? That's flipping the circle. And then the other thing we can do is before and after the team activities, consciously flip from or shift from the individual growth, that's the me, to the uplifting the teammates, helping the team out, to the we me, we flip. Because once we're set, help the other people out, get them up, get them elevated to your position, then you even got better competition to play against. I mean, it just helps out all around. I just want to end that with success is cyclical, okay? Ego rises, humility grounds. Look at any athlete you love. Go look at their performances. Go look at their celebrations after. Go look at their work they do after that and beforehand. To listen to what they say. I guarantee you they are doing this and they just keep continuing to climb. Teams thrive when the individuals focus on their roles, but also flip back how they themselves can contribute to the whole success. Okay, the we, me, we mentality really makes individual and team victories seamless. And that's kind of what I'm going to end with on tip number 5, flip perspectives from me to we and back again. The the tricks. We got the flip the circle and we, me, we flip. Circle for us is ego to humility, and the other circle is us. So we, back to me, or to me, and we. And it just keeps going on. All in all, I love to recap the tips, tricks, tools that we went through. So that's what I'm about to do here. And we covered 5 key tips, tricks, tools, and to really kind of balance the ego and humility in athletics to put ourselves in our best performance state, that peak performance. Tip number 1 was embrace the axis with the x-axis advantage. Progress isn't just upward. Staying consistent moves us forward. That's the x-axis. Let ego start, but humility guide. And we have the ego, humility, flip. So we got to use the ego to take on the challenges and humility to grow within them. Number 3 is the mirror effect with the mirror method. Your growth reflects the team growth. So when we rise, the team rises. Number 4 is the silent assassin mindset. Confidence stays quiet and performance speaks for itself. And then lastly, the flip perspectives. Flip the circle and we, me, we flip. Balance the success, the reflection, and shift between individual and team growth. So what I want to leave you with is just the understanding that balancing ego and humility is about more than just personal or team growth. It's really about creating the rhythm where both people or both kind of fuel each other. Silent cycles of confidence and humility paired with the flipping between the me and the we and everything else we talked about not only elevates our game, but the entire team's performance. So keep climbing, stay humble, and most of all, make every moment count. The Athlete's Health Deep Dive. Catch you on our guest episodes on Thursday. Otherwise, deep dive with you next week.